The Desire Grand Prix is upon us, and it's time for us to enter into Kamen Rider Geats. Revice is over. It's time for a new show to start, and I gotta say, this was a good episode. And I'm going to give you brief overviews of some of the plot points of this episode. So there are spoilers, in my opinion, as well. And what a freaking episode. And before I get into anything, when this started, was it me or did the whole water crashing against the rocks with the snow, the rocks and the water looked vaguely familiar? And I did some research. No, it is not the same thing from the OG Toei introduction, but it's very similar, and it was just bothering me so much because I was like, man, I think I know those waves. Those waves look familiar, but I digress. So after all that, we start off with who I'm assuming is going to be our actual main character, Sakurai Keiwa, and he's in a boardroom style group interview as someone who, having an IT degree, I've been in a few interviews like that, and it was really interesting to hear his answers about how he wants to contribute to society, make it a better world for everyone, and help those in need. Now, let's face it, that's not a realistic observation. Um, but he is coming across as a very likable character. That hopeful optimism where you're like, this is a character, this is a main character right there. One of that so that was it was a good character introduction for Keiwa because you've really got a kind of a feel for his personality, whereas other main character dude whose name has yet to be revealed in the show anyways is, you know, tossing a coin. So what we find out is we're on the final mission of the Grand Prix, and it's been already going on for 6 months. So one of the things from a Kamen Rider standpoint, we're not getting, hey, here's the start of the show, you're now a Kamen Rider. It's like, no, guess what? This has been going on for 6 months. So we're in the final mission, and we're down to 3 riders left. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. Also, the coats they're wearing, I guess they're for sale. They're like $300. It hurts my feelings. But at the same time, I'm gonna spend some more money because I really want one. So after getting our quick little, oh hey, here's some stuff that's going on in this thing, we go back to Sakurai again, who is now talking to his sister about how he messed up. And I was like, okay, they're getting their noodles, and I'm like, oh cool, some udon, nice, or soba, not udon. They got some soba. I'm like, cool. Then all of a sudden, boom, divider wall pops down, and we get the aliens that show up, and I'm just gonna listen. Those alien noises are the least intimidating alien noises I've ever heard in my life. Like, I love aliens, I love horror movies, I've even done podcast episodes about alien movies and UFOs and stuff like that. This was literally the least threatening sound to come out of something carrying a sword and trying to kill me. Like, I would giggle. I would die while giggling. And then, yeah, just, so, when there's a map, just weird. So, like, a city was blocked off, and, like, with this border, so, Keiwa and his sister are separated. All I thought about was Reboot. Did anyone else get Reboot vibes when the cube would drop? Am I too old to make that reference? When the cube would drop down and that's the game area? Like, no? Just me? No one else remembers Reboot? Okay, whatever. I'm just saying. So in the meantime, we're getting introduced to other characters. Keiwa's sister before this was watching a female streamer named Neon. And she's getting more backstory. She's trying to just be on her own, get out from her family. She wants to just live on her own and stream and this and that. That's cool. Little character stuff. By the way, we're just not seeing any of, like, I get it. There's probably going to be multiple main characters. Like, not main riders, just important characters. And we know she's going to be a Kamen Rider. I will say, we get introduced to our Panda Rider, whose name I do not know yet. That was really entertaining because there's aliens and this and that. Out of nowhere, the arrows come in on top of a rooftop with a little bow. Obviously, that was such a cool introduction, but you didn't get no time to shine because our Buffa Kamen Rider shows up with what I want to say is one of a really cool fight sequence. I will let me say, Revice had some great camera angles, editing, and shots done with their action sequences and fighting. No difference at all. The quality is still there. This was such a good fight scene, and I was just like, man, I was like, they're putting the care into the fight sequences and choreographed action. I'm okay with this. It looked good. You got to walk away from explosions, mind you. Also, that is a rule. I don't make the rule. If there's gonna be an explosion, you have to turn your back to it, walk away as the explosion goes off. So Akio Ace, who is, Geets, I like how all this is going on. It's a competition. It's the final mission. Homie's just having tea. Okay, he's just sitting there having tea, relaxing. And I was like, But then he says he has, his ace. He has the boost gimmick. So I was like, oh, we're gonna see a boost gimmick. I was like, all right. The funny thing is, episode's almost halfway over. No Henshin sequences yet. None. I was like, you're not gonna give me a Henshin? I was like, the build up is good. Also, we get some back and forth between Buffa and Panda Dude, because Panda Dude saved the Neon and Kawa, and he was talking about healing, and Buffa's just like, come on, you're not, save it. He called him out on his shit. He was like, you're not trying to save people. You want to get the points because apparently how this works, you can get points for saving civilians as well as defeating enemies. So I was like, all right. And both of them were like, hey, where's Geet? They're wondering where is, and they're like, is he aiming for something bigger? And then they mentioned the fortress, and I'm like, ooh. Well, I was like, okay. I was like, cue the fortress. Fortress comes in. It's basically a big flying alien snail thing with an actual building fortress on its back. And I was like, okay, that looks really cool. And without any no warning or anything, that it attacks, and we get what I'm calling our first Geets Yeets of the season. And because of that, we have the Geets Yeets counter. I will be keeping track of every Kamen Rider that gets yeeted this season. So we're at 1. And I was like, okay, because I want to know how many riders are going to get defeated in this whole entire season. Because when you look at the board that they showed at one point, there's 3 people left. Everyone else was like lost, defeated. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And still, I'm waiting. And we got a motorcycle. Ace had his motorcycle. Finally decides to enter the fray. And the whole time, I'm like, okay, we got this. This is gonna be cool. Motorcycle. I was like, this motorcycle, it's a real motorcycle. I was like, oh, is this allowed now? Because we haven't seen a proper motorcycle in so long that wasn't on a green screen the whole time. For one brief part of freaking Saber. And that was like a trike, so I don't know if that even really counts. So next up, we get the best definition of Mr. Steal Your Girl, because Neon Fortress takes out Panda. We already went over that. Building gets hit. Neon falls. Kawa tries to dive and catch, doesn't get it. Protagonist shows up on the motorcycle, and just that's definition of protagonist. You show up on the motorcycle in the 0 hour, you save the girl, and then to even further prove stealing your girl, Kawa runs over, see if she's okay. He's like, oh darn. He's like, I was hoping you were single. And at the same time, Neon Kawa, I'm not her boyfriend. That's not my boyfriend. Turns the smirk, the charisma, and the confidence. So I still have a chance. And I was like, that is great. And I also like that we have a main character that's so confident and full of himself and knows his abilities and isn't doubting himself, because even Neon says, what's up with this guy? Why is he's so full of himself? And I'm like, there you go. Then we get more building to Sakurai as he goes on a super story rant about how life just goes on and it's Monday and nothing really mattered and now the world is ending. And then we got protagonists. We got Ace coming in just saying, hey, let's end this world and give it another try then. And I'm like, and then we see some of the best highlights of Henshin, action, everything. We finally get the Geets Henshin, the snap of the fingers, delicious. The and I got build vibes from how the armor was coming out from the Henshin. Good jingle, and I was like, I was so good. And then we got the combat montage of various attacks. Geets wiping out these aliens like there's nothing. But then he goes into what I like to call the Call of Duty camper style because he now turns his gun into the rifle mode, and the his accuracy so good, takes out some of the tendril things coming off the fortress. I'm like, good job, good job. Those are, I was like, do these count as points or is it completely defeating it? Because we don't know how this, all these points and how the actual Grand Prix works in that sense, but we do know so far, saving civilians, points. Individual alien things that go, yeah, that's the noise I make in my head. Points. Taking out the fortress itself, probably points. But is he gonna? I don't know. Because everything right now has just been a Geets appetizer as Geets uses the boost upgrade. So we see our first real form change outside of, I believe they're calling it entry form. Even though we did get the Magnum up form. So technically 2 forms outside of entry. And we see I don't even know what to say. The boost form is so cool. He got some flames. I like fire. He's on the motorcycle riding through, gets eaten inside the fortress, and he's just riding around. Exhaust flames burning the inside of it up, and then he exits. And then I was like, okay, it's destroyed, right? No. And I was like, okay, well, we got to see a rider kick, but that's not how this works. This is Kamen Rider. This is a new season. Okay, it's Geets. We saw our first combination. He had to take the Magnum boost, and he had to take the both those combined, and we got what is really badass. So I liked how it was like all the white from the Magnum was on the top part of the suit. The bottom half was boost, so it was all red. He flipped the driver, and then they swapped parts. Or it was the other way around. Red went to legs, white went to chest. It was the chest. Yeah, that's what it was. And then we see him, even the motorcycle changed into a fox, which I thought was badass. Then we see our first rider kick / finish. And the fortress is destroyed. Bonus points, Geets win. And then, Keiwa was in this episode so much because him and Ace with their Ikio, with their conversation, when he asked him about it, he's like, it's just a game. All these like weird purge type chime bells from like a church start going off, and the world starts repairing itself. And I guess he chose to reset the world because he became the god of desire. And I was like, okay, really cool. The main thing towards the end of this is we got, Keiwa back at his noodle place, and he gets approached by the lady with the Desire driver, and when he touches the emblem, he gets flashes of the previous world. I don't think I'm getting and then we got like a montage of other people. I want to talk about this though. When he touched the emblem and he started remembering previous game stuff, I don't think the world was like just I don't think it was reset fully. I think we're getting like a Westworld situation with the robots when they started remembering previous software iterations and stories that were programmed into them. I think that's what we're going with this. I do think this was really good first episode. I really enjoyed the action. I enjoyed a lot of the subtle ways we're getting character balance and introductions. And I do love we got a protagonist that is just so damn confident. We were long overdue for this, and it's very refreshing. So at the end of the episode, you get a little thing that goes over the rules of the Grand Prix, and it says the moment you receive a driver and ID core, it's a one-way trip. There's no turning back. So I'm wondering if after every episode we're going to get a different rule. So eventually we will get all the rules for this. That would be very appealing, actually. Um, but yeah, that is episode 1 of Kamen Rider Geats. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the few first episodes that had a lot of action. We don't usually get that much action. I'm really curious to see if there's a variation to the different games or if they're all the same, just destroy aliens and get points. I wonder if they're going to do more like King of the Hill style. Like, I'm wondering how, if it's going to be really video game themed or if it's just more like a Hunger Games thing, but you're not killing each other, or it's not like a battle. Like, I'm just wondering what kind of games there's going to be, and also what happens when you lose. Do you just become a regular human again in the game world? Are you gone forever? But that's it for my overview and review of episode 1 of Kamen Rider Geats. I will be modifying how these videos are going as I get through the episodes. I have some more equipment I'm getting, going to be making a lot of changes, but let me know in the comments below what you thought about episode 1 of Kamen Rider Geats. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.